guys, so long time no see. My life has just been totally crazy since the last time I filmed, and I thought I would do a tag video kind of explaining why my life has been crazy. I'm gonna do the home buying tag. It's obviously December by my Christmas tree, and we moved in here in February, and it has just been an absolute roller coaster, and I thought this would kind of tell you a little bit about it, and then maybe I'll do some like since we bought the home in between now at the end. This is Bentley is not feeling well, so he's gonna hang out here while I film this. I'm sorry if that's terribly distracting, but I really want to start getting videos out to you guys, and they don't take naps, which is terrible because they're 2.5. They cut it out really early, so I'm just not gonna have time to film, and I'm not gonna film in the dark every night because that would be annoying and bad lighting and whatever. So, into the home buying tag now that I rambled on about where I've been. Looking down at my computer, I'm sorry it's like weird angle, but again, I'm just gonna make this work because I want to do this. By the way, I thought I would mention, I first saw this tag on OCD Much channel, which has now been deleted. Amy, if you're watching this, I miss you terribly. I'm sure something crazy happened, and it's very sad that you're gone, and lots of people miss you. But, you know, such is life. I'm well aware YouTube cannot be fun sometimes. But anyway, that's where I originally saw this tag. I'm not sure where it stemmed from. I don't know if she made the questions, but in case anybody was wondering, that's where I saw it. So the first question is, what were you looking for in a home when you bought your home? We were looking for a bare minimum of 3-bedroom because we have 3 kids and we don't want them all, you know, on top of each other. The bedroom size wasn't overly important, just as long as, you know, everybody had a separate sleeping space. Having a big yard was like the highest priority. Big as in like at least an acre because we need the space. We garden, we have a few animals, and we want to do more. My husband does like snowmobiling, and you know, we're just like outdoorsy, I guess, kind of people, and we needed the space, so that was pretty high priority. We wanted to not be near neighbors, but it wasn't like a high thing. We ended up pretty close to our neighbors, but the houses are close, but there's nothing like around us. Like there's like a couple houses and then just field, you know, which was kind of what we were going for. It wasn't so much not being near people as much as just being in the country and, you know, space to run around and all that stuff. We were also looking for a fixer-upper. How bad it wasn't really like a concern. We could have totally flipped a house, like pulled down the drywall and re-insulated it and whatever, which we did part of this house, but that would have been totally fine. But moving into something that like the bathroom needed to be redone was totally fine, and we ended up getting an in-between that. The next question is, before you bought your home, how did you think your experience of house hunting would go? I was very well aware that this could be a horrible, long period of time to be doing this. I have never met anybody that has a smooth house buying process, so I was well aware that you need to brace yourself, and you should always kind of, what is the saying? Expect the best, prep yourself for the worst, or something like that. But Mommy. Yes, it's Mommy. You say hello. Say hi. Sorry, it's distracting. Again, he's not feeling good though. So I was expecting it to be rough, but I was expecting it to be rough in the sense of finding a bunch of houses, getting into bidding wars, losing the house, that kind of thing. And it ended up being, which kind of goes into the next question, which was, what is the reality of house hunting for you? We were debating when we were going to move because of financial reasons. We saw this house on Realtor app. I highly, highly, highly recommend that app. You can put in the price that you want, where you want it, what school district you want it, anything you can want for a house, number of bedrooms, whatever, and it will find it for you. So this isn't sponsored or anything. I was just letting you know the app is the way to go. I recommended it to a friend too, and she found her house within like a month. So we found this house on that app, and I I'm always like the gung-ho one, and my husband's always kind of like, yeah, I don't think so. But he was like, you know what, email the realtor. We had found a realtor on a previous house that we never even looked at. He's like, email the realtor and we'll see. So I sent him an email, and we set it up. The viewing was on Halloween of last year, 2015. And we came in and we looked around the house. This was an abandoned house for like 5 years, I think it was empty for. So it was pretty rough, but the framework of it was just everything we were looking for. We walked in and we were like, you know what, this is awesome. There were a couple of things that we were kind of like him and hawing about, but we saw this house and we were like, this is the house for us. So that's it though. We saw this house and we were happy with it. We had been looking before that, but we actually looked into building before this because that's what we thought we were going to do, probably not as soon. This was the first actual like walkthrough of a pre-existing house that we looked at. And we figured out how we were going to do it financially, and we put the bid in. And that's where, going back to the last question, first of all, they told us that there was another offer on the house when there hadn't been an offer on the house for like ever. Kind of questioning if there was, I don't know, can they do that? Is that legal? Be like, yeah, there's an offer on the house and there's really not. We just want more money. The bank owned it, so I don't know. Maybe we're just weird. But there was another offer on the house, and we had put a solid offer in. It was a little over what they were, how much over? I can't remember. A few grand over what they were asking. But we were kind of like set on that price. And then we got into the bidding war, so we upped it like $100, which is kind of like a tip if you want to do that. Going in, that like slight bit extra, it might sound kind of silly, like, what are you going to do with an extra $100 when you're paying, you know, thousands of dollars on the house? But it just kind of shows, like, you're serious. I think that the other person that was bidding on it was also just a flipper and not moving in, and banks and home buyers and everything else like to see, I'm sorry if that's moving. Watch out. Sorry, my dog was moving the camera. They like to see people move in right away and not so much just the flipping. There's lots of distractions. I'm sorry, but we'll be okay. But what I was getting to is they kept moving our closing date. And I knew that happened, but they did it for 3 months because we didn't close till January. I wish I could tell you the date, but I'm not sure. Like towards the end of January of last year, or this year, sorry. But they would give us a date, and then like,
Mommy.
what?
Mommy.
Is it Rose? Yeah. They would give us a date, and then that day, the realtor would call me and say they moved it again. And then it would happen a couple weeks later. They moved it again. I try to keep calm during all of that because I knew it was going to happen, but it's still stressful. And there's always that fear of like, especially before the bid got accepted, of somebody else moving in and taking the house from you. And you know, that's terrible. And if that's happened to you, my heart goes out to you because I can't imagine if somebody had taken this house. But once again, I'm going to keep repeating this, you have to prepare yourself for those things to happen because the chances are just, they're high. The next question is, what would you tell a buyer their main focus should be when buying a home? Being realistic is one, but the biggest thing is not settling. Do not be like, well, this isn't really the neighborhood I want. Especially don't settle for a school district if you have kids. And even if you don't have kids, consider the amount of taxes you're going to be paying and stuff for the school. You need to consider everything. If you walk into the house and you're like, you know what, I really hate what you walk into and there's no way to change it because low-bearing wall, whatever, that's going to be there forever and it's going to drive you crazy forever. That's just an example. But I mean, the things that you walk in you're kind of apprehensive about, those things are going to be the things that will drive you crazy once you live in that house all the time. Don't just be like, you know what, I'm so excited to buy a house, I'm going to pick this one. Because you will get into that house and you're going to want to move. And high chances are you're not going to want to be moving all the time because moving sucks. It's not fun. Next question is, what advice would you give a buyer about loans and contracts? we didn't really have to do much of that because this house wasn't, I don't know what it's called. It's not deemed unlivable because then you have to like do a bunch of stuff. But there was like foundation issues and stuff that we had to take care of, so our house was like a special case. I'll leave it at that. My biggest thing is definitely get a lawyer to go over all your paperwork and do all that stuff for you. But what I'm going to direct this question toward is the loans. We paid, I don't want to say how much I paid for my house on the internet, significantly less than $100,000 for this 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-acre home. Significantly less. You do not, if you know a contract, if you don't mind hiring people, if your husband or you is very handy, there is absolutely no reason you have to go out and pay an obscene amount of money for houses. I know that's how just how it is in some places. That's how much houses cost, is $500,000. But if you are in an area, especially in the country, you don't have to go into significant debt for 50 years or whatever. There are houses out there that are foreclosed or anything like that. You can get in and they're amazing homes. Our house is, I'm not bragging or anything, I'm just extremely grateful. Our house is gorgeous, it's comfortable, we have no problems, and my husband fixes everything up. I know that's not the case for most people, but if it is, if you know somebody, father, whatever, then, you know, jump on it. I mean, time is money, in my opinion, but we've saved so much money, and we're gonna have the house paid off within not many years. Sorry, I'm being kind of vague, but I don't want to like throw out my financial issues on the internet. So basically, wrap up the question. You do not have to get an insane loan to buy a house. You can find houses for very inexpensive. Next question. What advice would you give about realtors? I had a realtor that we really loved. I guess all I would have to say about that is if you don't like your realtor, get another one. I mean, there's nothing. House buying process is difficult enough to have a crappy realtor giving you a hard time and making things more difficult for you. Find one you love, and if you have to bounce around while you're buying the house, then that's what you have to do. It's worth it to have somebody there supporting you. Our realtor wasn't like, he was kind of like laid back guy. But he was very supportive and he got the job done for us and he got it done quickly, and that's what mattered. The next question is, any advice on home inspection? We didn't have to do a home inspection until after we moved in, which is extremely, again, our house was like such a special case because it was foreclosed, abandoned, blah, blah. I would probably recommend getting a home inspector, but because I can't imagine paying $200,000 or whatever you pay for your house and get in there and have lots of fun surprises when you get in there. But they also check things that are just ridiculous in my opinion. So I'm kind of, that's really I don't have a huge input on that because we just didn't have to do that and we don't have that problem. So sorry, it was a little vague. If you could go back, what would you have done differently? And it's going back to the first question. I braced myself for the craziness of the home buying process, but we saw the house on Halloween, and then all of Christmas last year was about the house because they would move our date. I promised myself that I was not going to let Christmas get away from me in the whole season and not let it get crazy, and I absolutely did. It just totally, I hardly even remember that whole month. I mean, how terrible is that? All I can remember is the house buying process. So definitely don't let life get away from you when you're buying a house. That's much easier said than done, but kind of like constantly remind yourself that life's not going to pause until you close on the home, because it's not going to, and you don't want to miss anything. And then also, once you get into the home, that still applies, because that's what we did. We just totally out the window, everything went all summer and all spring and winter, and we're just now, the past like month, slowing. Don't let the house buying process consume your life, because it easily can, because it is a huge deal. I mean, you know, it's like being pregnant and expecting the baby. That's so silly. But do you know what I'm saying though? Like, it can totally, like, you don't have to, the house buying process is totally out of your control. You have to do what you can. You need to raise an offer here or there. You need to do some paperwork. But whatever you can do to not let it take over you, you need to do. That's my personal experience, my personal opinion. So I'm sorry if this video was terribly distracting. I don't know if you can hear the Christmas music playing in the background and stuff. I hope you can. But I'm gonna get more videos out to you guys. I'm excited to start filming again. This is really, I feel like this is gonna be my thing. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. Again, check out the Realtor app if you're looking for a home, because it is just, it's amazing. And we would have never found this house without it. There wasn't even a for sale sign in front of our house. I hope you guys are having a very Merry December. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all that fun stuff. And I will see you guys very, very soon.